The total global healthcare market is valued at around $14.5 trillion, which is insanely huge. Healthcare has been important for so long, decades, centuries, even millennia. But in the age of social media and influencers, we now have more choice and there is a greater fear of missing out. But a downside of more choice means that you basically have more products to choose from. And sure, technology has improved over the years, but all the products basically do sort of the same thing. So how does that make one better than the other? So that is what this investigation is about. I took 3 face mask brands, one from Seventh Heaven, another from Garnier, and then another one from GlamFox, which is a Korean brand. And I tried them all on to compare. So the first face mask we have is one by Seventh Heaven. Like an idiot, I threw away the package after I put on the face mask. So this amazing drawing will just have to do. Now, Seventh Heaven, the specific mask that I used was a clay rose mask. Very different to all of the others that I tried. Basically, it's just the clay that hardens and then you have to take it off. It was incredibly cheap. It was only 69 pence for one mask and it had 18 ingredients in total, which is actually the lowest amount that any of the masks had. Now, specifically, it is only a UK brand. They are based out of Wales, they're a family-run company. While they do have some sort of international shipping, I think, it's very limited. They don't have any real good company websites, no external reports. They do have sort of like exclusive brand collaborations, so they have collaborated with Wicked, the film before, but judging by the quality of their website, that's going to be quite minor. So Seventh Heaven is definitely a budget brand that is noticeable in the UK, but it's not really anything special. Okay, so the first one that we're going to try is Seventh Heaven Pink Rose Clay. Pink Rose Clay. It's been a long time since I've done one of these before, so hopefully I can do it right. Doesn't look the best of things. And do I just put it all over my face? There's not actually that much there. Oh God. Make sure that I get underneath the eyes. To be honest, it's really good timing because the Clayface trailer's recently just come out. So maybe I can be casting that. I don't think there's a lot of it. There needs to be more. Like a lot more. Maybe I just have a big head. Okay, well that is roughly it. So now we just have to wait for it to cure. 15 minutes, I think. Okay, so probably enough time has passed. It had to be about 15 to 20 minutes. Fun fact, while I was waiting, I actually spoke to a friend about all of the face masks that I brought, and apparently they're all bad. But, you know, investigations on a budget. So let's wash this off and sort of see what it feels like. Oh, I have to say, through the entire process, it felt very itchy. I mean, I feel like I'm having to scrape it off. Yeah. Is that any better? Kind of. Oh, okay. Well, that's probably enough just to show this. So yeah, so it's all off. And I'll just have to see what it's like when I dry it. Okay, now that it's dry, to be honest, it doesn't feel that bad now that it's off, but it wasn't that easy to take off completely. So yeah, number 1 done, only 2 more to go. So for the next one, we have the Garnier face mask. Now, as you saw, it was different to the clay mask. This is just a piece of fabric that's been soaked in serum and then you let it absorb into your face. Specifically, this one is being branded and marketed as a pomegranate infused version, but essentially they'll mostly all do the same. Now the price for this one was a little bit more expensive, £1.99 per face mask. There was only one in this packet and there were 24 ingredients in total. So a little bit more than the Seventh Heaven clay mask. Now, Garnier is very different. It is much bigger than Seven Heaven. So Garnier was a brand that started in France and then it got taken over and brought by L'Oreal. At the moment, it's available in 70 different countries. The brand itself got created in 1904, so it really does have a longer history compared to Seventh Heaven, which I think was only created, the company at least, in 1985. So it's got a lot more of a heritage, a lot more of a footprint in the world. It's got more marketing and branding capabilities, for want of a better word. And I would definitely say that this is definitely mid-tier globally, at least within Europe. Okay, so now we have our second face mask, Garnier, which looks at least a little bit more professional than this Seventh Heaven. So we'll put this on and see how it sort of compares. Now it's a lot less of like a clay liquid, this one. It looks like it's basically just a piece of fabric that's been soaked in liquid and serum and all that stuff. But hopefully this will be a lot easier for me to take off. I feel like I'm going to break it every time. How do you actually... None of these are easy to put on. I think that's the thing that I'm finding. Whether they're... Oh, there you go. Whether they're like effective or not, they are not that user friendly. So you just put this on. Yeah. And that should stick to my face, and we need to leave this on for another 15 minutes or so. So we'll see how that is. Okay, so I think that's probably been enough time. Now hopefully this is a lot easier to take off than the clay mask I had the first time. And it is, that's great. So after that, it's really just rolling in the excess serum or just taking it off. Oh, that is a lot easier. So I'll just do that and then we can see what it feels like. Okay, so I've just taken all of that stuff off, and weirdly, the clay mask actually felt smoother when I took it off. I feel moisturised, but yeah, it wasn't as itchy, so I guess that was a plus point. This was definitely just a wet flannel with all the liquid seeping into your skin. But yeah, so the process was a lot easier, but I actually weirdly prefer the finish of the first mask. But that definitely doesn't mean that this hasn't done anything different or better. And finally, we have the South Korean face mask from GlamFox. Now, this came in a pack of 5, so the price of £4.99, while it seems a little bit more expensive per mask, it's only about £1, which does make it cheaper than Garnier. But one caveat to this is that I actually got it reduced. So normally when I looked online, this pack of 5 should be costing £8 to £12, give or take. So it is substantially more expensive than Garnier. Now, in terms of ingredients, there are 26 ingredients in this one, so it's got the most ingredients out of all of them. Now, GlamFox is the brand itself. There isn't actually a company specifically for GlamFox, for want of a better word. But if you actually look on the back, there's specifically a company called, where is it? Klugen People Co. That is an international company of which GlamFox is one of their many brands. Their website is a lot more established, similar to Garnier. It has everything from external reports, the real science of face masks and skincare, and all of that. So not only do they have the global reach of Garnier in some ways, but also because of the popularity of South Korea, they also have that branding, that marketing power that some of the others don't necessarily have. So this, for the popularity that it has today, is definitely the most expensive, most high-end version. Okay, so now we have our third and final mask. Now, by the feel of it, I'm thinking that it's very similar to the last one I had, the Garnier. Yep. Again, it's another mask that's coated in a serum. Let's see if this one's actually a little bit easier to separate. Almost. Just trying not to tear it. There you go. Put this one on. It feels about the same as the last one, but time to wait 15 minutes for it to all seep in. Okay, so I think that's been enough time. I can take it off again. It's very similar to the Garnier one. It's really easy to take off. You just have to rub in all the excess oils and wash it all off. But yeah, I'll do that now and then we'll see what it feels like. So now that I've cleaned up a little bit, I really can't tell that much of a difference, if I'm perfectly honest. It's very similar to the Garnier one, but again, it's nothing, there's nothing, I can't feel anything substantially different. And to be honest, I still prefer the sort of after effects of the clay mask, I think. Now, my personal preference was actually the clay mask. It just felt like the finish was better and it was less itchy actually in the process. But fundamentally, we had two different types of face masks. We had the clay mask and then more of a serum soaked fabric. But when you actually look at the ingredients, they're radically different. So despite the fact that they all had about the same amount, 18, 24, 26, the only ingredient, and there's a lot, which is why I made notes, but the only ingredient that's actually the same is glycerin, which aims to draw moisture to the skin surface from the lower levels. Now, despite the fact that they all had different ingredients, like kaolin clay was in the rose clay, you had dipotassium glycerinate, I am butchering these pronunciations, and then things like, for example, orza sativa brown water. All of them are very different, but the actual function of them is very similar. For example, each of the face masks had something that had some sort of smell. Every single one of them had something that would draw moisture to the top layer of skin. Most of them had something that would act like a protective film to stop any of the moisture escaping. Some of them had chemicals that actually allowed other chemicals in the face mask to seep deeper into the skin. So the point is that while they all had different ingredients, the functions of those ingredients are the same. And from what I could tell, there hadn't really been any rigorous scientific studies to identify which ingredient was actually better. Sure, you can go off history. So for example, rice water and rice has been used in skincare for centuries. Same for things like turmeric. The actual enzymes, unless they come from those natural ingredients, are sort of up for debate. They don't have that longevity, that justification in history. But ultimately, there's not really substantial studies comparing them for any of them really. Not at least in the same way that you would have medical trials for vaccinations and other types of drugs. That's not to say that there aren't studies, because there are. These studies show that these ingredients work, they do what they're supposed to. But in terms of comparing an ingredient to an ingredient, there's not really much there. So what else is there? Well, this, I think, in my opinion, goes back to social media and the influencer market. Today, the influencer market is about 34 billion US dollars, and it has a huge influence. Everyone is scrolling on their phones, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, it doesn't really matter. And just simply seeing an advertisement repeated over and over again by somebody that you know and like is enough to hook you in, enough to actually drag your attention. I mean, after all, South Korean beauty didn't really exist in the UK or the West until it became popularized by social media. That was the catalyst, that was the key function, right? Does that mean that South Korean beauty is any better? It could be, but it seems like it's been driven a lot more by that social media trend. I mean, after all, to see a simple example, all you have to do is look at children's toys. Now, you can have a really simple, basic piece of plastic, but if you market it and brand it with the latest Bluey series or the latest, I'm so old I don't know all the modern TV shows, but things like Bluey and stuff, they sell off the shelves and they sell them at such a high markup. But essentially it's the same thing, whether it was Transformers or Power Rangers or Bluey today, the piece of plastic is still just a piece of plastic. It shoots out Play-Doh. There's nothing really anything much more special than that. So I think that's actually the wider answer to this. Are there better skincare products and face masks than others? Absolutely. Scientists wouldn't spend all their time in the labs researching different enzymes and chemicals and serums and toxins to put together. But is it such a huge difference to warrant the price differences? Is it such a huge difference to allow marketing claims? Like, for example, it can shave years off of your life and give you elastic skin right into your 80s. No, I don't think so. It does some of it, but definitely not what it's claiming for. And also, it's definitely not as valuable as they say it is. So I think it's a combination of things. Yes, there is some core usefulness of all of these ingredients, but there's also a wider picture of missing out. If something seems to be working, whether that's because of people that you love and like showing you it, promoting it, or whether it's because it's steeped in ancient culture from centuries ago, that makes you want to have it. It's desirable. I mean, after all, nobody really wore diamond rings until De Beers actually marketed it as an engagement ring. Nobody cared about them. So I think it's a mixture of both. So the next time that you look out for skincare or face masks, absolutely buy them. They definitely do work. But keep that in mind when you're trying to compare South Korean brands or any other topical brand of the day to what you can normally get at a cheaper price.